Friends, if you're excited to watch the super fun, heartwarming, and adventurous animated movie The Croods, A New Age from 2020 in English, then you've come to the right place. And hey, if it's your first time here on our channel, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our future movie updates, reviews, and cool entertainment content. Today we're diving deep into everything you need to know about The Croods, A New Age. From what the movie is all about, who the characters are, where you can watch it, and some really interesting behind-the-scenes facts that will make you appreciate the film even more. First, I'll tell you about the plot. The Croods. A New Age is a fun-filled journey with the Crood family, a prehistoric clan, as they face new challenges and unexpected adventures. This time, they meet another family, the Bettermans, who seem a little more advanced and sophisticated. The clash of these two families leads to a lot of hilarious moments, heartwarming lessons, and wild action scenes. I'll walk you through the story, highlighting the funniest and most exciting parts, without giving away any spoilers, so you can enjoy the surprises when you watch the movie. Next, I'll share all the details on where you can watch this movie. Whether you prefer streaming on popular OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney+, or you want to catch it on a satellite TV channel, I'll tell you exactly where The Croods, A New Age is available right now, so you won't waste any time searching for it. We'll also take a closer look at the making of the movie. Animation fans will love to hear about the technical brilliance behind the scenes, how the animators brought these colorful characters to life with cutting-edge technology and creative artistry. The music department also deserves a shout-out because the soundtrack and background score add so much fun and energy to the film. I'll explain how the music complements the story and enhances your viewing experience. In addition, we'll discuss the entire production journey, including pre-production, where the storyboards and characters were designed, the challenges faced during filming, and the post-production work that polished the movie to perfection. I'll also touch on the budget of the film and how it performed at the box office worldwide. It's always fascinating to see how well these big animated movies do commercially. Of course, a movie review wouldn't be complete without talking about the star cast. The Croods. A New Age features a talented voice cast that includes well-known actors who bring their characters to life with charm and humor. I'll tell you who voiced each character and share insights on their performances, highlighting who stood out and why. Lastly, I'll share some fun and surprising facts about the movie, maybe about how certain scenes were created, or interesting tidbits about the characters and the creative team behind the film. These facts add an extra layer of enjoyment to the movie and make you appreciate the effort that goes into making such a fantastic animated feature. So, friends, I invite you to watch this video till the very end because it's packed with everything you need to know about The Croods, A New Age. Whether you're a fan of animation, love family adventures, or just want a good laugh, this movie has something for everyone. Let's get started and jump right into the colorful, funny, and thrilling world of The Croods, A New Age. Alright friends, let's jump right into the wild and wonderful story of The Croods, A New Age, and see how this prehistoric family's adventure unfolds in a way that keeps you hooked from start to finish. So, the story kicks off right where the first movie left us. The Croods family is still trying to survive in their crazy, unpredictable world, but things start to get even more interesting when they meet another family, the Bettermans. Now, don't let the name fool you. These Bettermans aren't just some random folks. They're living in this fancy, safe, and surprisingly high-tech walled paradise, which totally blows the Croods' minds. So here's the big twist. The two families have to figure out how to live together under one roof, which is easier said than done. From the very beginning, you can tell this movie is all about the clash of worlds. The old-school, rugged lifestyle of the Croods versus the more civilized, somewhat better way of the Bettermans. It's like a prehistoric culture shock. And the story uses this to bring out all sorts of hilarious and heartwarming moments. The narrative moves in a pretty straightforward way, but it's filled with clever surprises and emotional beats that keep you engaged. There's no messing around with time jumps or confusing perspectives. It's more of a classic adventure with a fresh twist. One of the first key moments is when the Croods decide to check out the Bettermans' paradise, and right away you feel the tension and excitement. The Bettermans' home is full of inventions and comforts that are totally new to the Croods, and that sets up a fun dynamic where each family learns something from the other. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. The story throws in some big conflicts like the fear of losing jealousy, and the struggle to accept change. These conflicts aren't just there for drama. They actually help the characters grow and bring out some surprisingly deep themes about family, trust, and embracing new ideas without forgetting your roots. There's also this fantastic emotional arc that threads through the whole film. You see characters like Grug, the tough but loving dad of the Croods, trying to hold his family together while wrestling with his fears about the unknown. Then there's Eep, the adventurous daughter, who's curious about the world beyond and eager to explore. On the other side, the Bettermans have their own quirks and insecurities, and watching these personalities bounce off each other adds so much life to the story. The way the narrative balances humor and heart is really something special. You laugh out loud one moment, and the next you're feeling all warm and fuzzy inside. As the story builds up, there are some thrilling action scenes involving giant creatures and natural disasters that remind you this world is wild and unpredictable. These sequences aren't just there to wow you with animation, they also raise the stakes for the families and force them to come together in ways they never imagined. This leads to some great turning points where characters make important decisions that change the course of their journey, and you can feel the tension rise and fall like a roller coaster. What's really cool is how the story keeps the focus on family. Not just blood relations but the family you choose and the bonds you build through trust and love. The Croods and the Bettermans start as opposites, but as the plot moves forward, they find common ground and realize they're stronger together. This message is woven into the narrative in a way that never feels preachy but comes through naturally in the characters' actions and growth. So, while the plot follows a pretty classic adventure structure, the way it's told, with vibrant characters, clever humor, and a balance of excitement and emotion, makes it feel fresh and super entertaining. You get to experience a world that's chaotic, funny, scary, and beautiful all at once, and the story takes you on a journey where every twist and turn feels meaningful. Whether it's the funny misunderstandings between the families, the epic chase scenes, or the quiet moments of connection, the Croods. A New Age keeps you hooked by making sure there's never a dull moment, and by reminding us all that family, no matter how different, is what really matters in the end. Alright friends, let's talk about the characters in the Croods. A New Age. And let me tell you, these guys are way more than just colorful cartoons running around prehistoric landscapes. Each character here has their own personality, quirks, and a little something extra that makes them feel real and relatable. They're not just there to make you laugh or cheer. They actually grow and change throughout the movie, which is pretty impressive for an animated adventure full of crazy action and wild creatures. Take Grug, the big, tough dad of the Croods family. At first glance, he seems like the classic overprotective parent, the kind who wants to keep everyone safe no matter what. But as the story unfolds, you see layers peeling back. Grug isn't just grumpy or stubborn. He's deeply scared of losing his family, and the only way he knows how to protect them is by controlling everything. His journey is all about learning to loosen up, trust others, and accept that change isn't always a bad thing. You can't help but root for him because his growth feels genuine and heartfelt. Plus, his gruff exterior hiding a big soft heart adds a lot of charm. Then there's Eep, the teenage daughter who's all about adventure and pushing boundaries. She's curious, brave, and sometimes a little reckless, which creates some great moments of tension and humor. But what's cool about Eep is that she's not just a wild child. She also struggles with wanting to be independent while still caring deeply about her family. Watching her navigate those feelings, especially when she meets the Bettermans, adds a nice layer of complexity to her character. She challenges Grug's old-school ways but also learns from them, which makes their dynamic really fun to watch. Now, the Bettermans are a whole different flavor of characters. You've got Phil, the dad, who's smooth, sophisticated, and confident, almost too confident at times, and his wife, Hope, who is calm, wise, and knows exactly how to keep the peace. These two have their own storylines that revolve around pride, acceptance, and the fear of not being good enough, which balances nicely with the Croods' rough-and-tumble style. Phil especially goes through some amusing but meaningful moments where his need to appear perfect starts to crack, showing us that even the best family has its flaws. The relationships between all these characters are what really bring the story to life. The way the Croods and the Bettermans clash, argue, and eventually find common ground is like watching a big family reunion with all its chaos and love. It's not just about them getting along on the surface. Their interactions reveal a lot about what family means: compromise, patience, and sometimes just putting aside your ego to be there for each other. The way the characters push each other's buttons but also support one another makes their bonds feel authentic and relatable, even in a fantastical setting. One of the funniest and most touching parts of their development is how even the smaller characters get their moment to shine. Whether it's Thunk, the not-so-bright but lovable son, or Gran, the hilarious grandma with a tough attitude, each character brings something unique to the table. Their little quirks and growth moments add texture to the story, showing that every family member, no matter how different, has a role and a voice. So, while you might expect a fun animated movie to keep characters pretty simple, The Croods, a new age surprises you by giving them real depth and believable transformations. They're funny, they mess up, they learn, and they grow, and all of that makes the movie way more engaging and enjoyable. It's like spending time with a family you'd want to hang out with in real life, full of laughs, arguments, love, and unexpected moments of growth. This mix of humor and heartfelt development is what keeps you hooked and makes the characters unforgettable long after the credits roll. Alright friends, let's dive into the performances in The Croods, a new age, and see how the voice actors really bring this prehistoric crew to life with energy, humor, and heart. You might think, hey, it's just animation, so do the voices really matter that much? Oh, but they absolutely do. The way these actors throw their voices into their roles is what turns these colorful characters from simple drawings into personalities you actually care about. The kind you want to laugh with, root for, or sometimes even roll your eyes at because they're so relatable. Starting with the lead, Nicolas Cage as Grug Crud, the dad with a tough exterior and a big, sometimes awkward heart. Cage totally nails that balance. His voice carries this gruff, protective vibe but also slips into moments of vulnerability and humor effortlessly. You can hear Grug's frustration when things don't go his way, but also his genuine love and concern for his family. Cage's delivery makes Grug feel like that dad you know who tries to be in control but can't help being a little goofy underneath it all. It's this blend that makes Grug not just a cartoon character but a believable and relatable figure. Then there's Emma Stone as Eep, the fearless and curious daughter. Stone brings a wonderful energy that perfectly captures teenage spirit. Bold, a bit rebellious, but with a sweet, caring side that shines through. Her voice feels natural and lively, giving Eep that spark of adventure that drives much of the story. You believe in her excitement to explore the world and her struggles with family dynamics because Stone makes every line feel genuine and heartfelt. It's a voice full of life that lifts the whole movie. Joining them is Ryan Reynolds as Guy, the clever and resourceful outsider who acts as a bridge between the two families. Reynolds brings his trademark charm and wit to the role, giving Guy a playful but grounded feel. His quick humor and easygoing style add layers to the character, making Guy feel like the guy you'd want on your side during any prehistoric escapade. Reynolds' performance adds a lot of fun, especially in scenes where Guy tries to smooth things over or inject a little reason into the family chaos. Speaking of family chaos, the Bettermans bring their own star power to the table. Leslie Mann as Hope Betterman delivers a voice that's calm, confident, and comforting, which fits her role as the steady mom trying to keep everything under control. Mann's performance adds a nice contrast to the wild energy of The Croods, and her timing with the jokes and emotional moments hits just right. Then there's Peter Dinklage as Phil Betterman, whose voice is full of sarcasm and ego but with a hint of insecurity underneath. Dinklage's performance is like a masterclass in comic timing. He makes Phil funny and flawed, and you can't help but be entertained whenever he's on screen. But it's not just the leads who shine. The supporting cast, from Thunk's goofy but lovable voice to Gran's sassy and no-nonsense tone, adds layers of texture and personality. Their voices bring out the little quirks that make each character stand out and give the movie a real family feel. Every line, every grunt, and every laugh feels like it's coming from a character who's fully alive and invested in the story. What really stands out is how all these performances blend together to create a believable world. The actors feed off each other's energy, making conversations feel natural and funny. Even the emotional moments hit harder because you can tell the actors are putting heart into their roles. Whether it's a funny argument, a heartfelt apology, or a triumphant cheer, the voices elevate those scenes and pull you right into the family's journey. So, when you watch The Croods, a new age, don't just enjoy the colorful animation and action. Listen closely to the voices because that's where a lot of the magic happens. These performances give the characters their soul, making the movie not just entertaining but also emotionally rich and truly memorable. Alright friends, let's talk about the director's magic behind the Croods. A new age. Because making a movie like this isn't just about cool animation and funny characters, it's about shaping the whole vibe so you're hooked from the very first frame. The director is basically the captain steering this prehistoric ship, deciding how the story flows, how the emotions hit you, and how the whole world looks and feels. And trust me, in this movie, that director's vision shines bright. One of the first things you notice about the direction is the tone. It's this perfect mix of humor, heart, and adventure. The director doesn't let the story get too heavy or serious, but also doesn't skimp on the emotional moments. That balance keeps things fresh and fun, making you laugh out loud one minute and feel all warm inside the next. It's like the movie knows exactly when to hit you with a goofy joke or a tender scene, and that rhythm keeps the audience fully engaged. You never feel bored or overwhelmed, which is a tricky thing to pull off, especially in a family film packed with action and emotion. Speaking of action, the pacing is spot on. The director keeps the story moving with just the right speed. Fast enough to keep the excitement high, but slow enough to give characters room to breathe and develop. You get plenty of thrilling chases, unexpected twists, and big moments that keep your eyes glued to the screen, but there's also time to enjoy quieter, character-driven scenes that add depth. This back-and-forth pacing is like a roller coaster with smooth ups and downs, never letting the energy sag but also giving you moments to catch your breath and connect with the story. Now let's talk style. The director clearly had a blast bringing this prehistoric world to life, and it shows in the vibrant colors, imaginative environments, and the way each scene is composed. Shots are carefully framed to highlight the wild and whimsical nature of the setting, from sweeping landscapes full of strange plants and creatures to close-ups that capture every funny or emotional expression on the characters' faces. This attention to detail makes the world feel alive and immersive, like you're really there experiencing all the chaos and beauty firsthand. There's also a clever use of visual storytelling, meaning the director doesn't just rely on dialogue to tell the story, but uses visual cues, body language, and the environment itself to add layers of meaning. For example, the contrast between the rugged, natural world of the Croods and the polished, safe space of the Bettermans is shown not just in words but through lighting, colors, and set design. This helps reinforce the theme of old versus new, wild versus civilized, without needing a big info dump. Another standout is how the director handles humor. The jokes are timed perfectly, and the physical comedy, like characters tripping, making silly faces, or reacting wildly to situations, is choreographed with precision. It's clear that a lot of thought went into making sure the comedy feels natural and flows smoothly with the story, rather than just being random gags. This makes the humor feel earned and keeps it from getting tired or repetitive. Overall, the director's narrative vision is clear and confident. Every scene, every line, every moment seems to serve the bigger goal of telling a fun, meaningful story about family, growth, and adventure. The way the story unfolds, the way the characters interact, and the world they live in all feel like pieces of a well-crafted puzzle coming together perfectly. It's the kind of direction that makes you feel like you're on a journey, not just watching a movie. So, when you're watching The Croods, A New Age, pay attention to how the director guides you through the story, how they make you laugh, make you care, and keep you on the edge of your seat. That guiding hand is what turns a simple animated movie into an unforgettable experience full of heart, humor, and a touch of prehistoric magic. Alright friends, let's dive into the world of cinematography in The Croods, A New Age. And yes, even in an animated film like this, the way the camera moves, what it focuses on, and how the scenes are lit plays a huge role in telling the story and making you feel like you're right there in the action. Think of cinematography as the movie's secret weapon, the invisible hand that guides your eyes and emotions without you even realizing it. First off, the camera angles in this movie are anything but boring. The animators and directors use a whole toolkit of shots to make the story pop. You'll see sweeping wide shots that show off the vast, wild prehistoric landscapes, giant trees, strange plants, and bizarre creatures roaming in the distance. These wide shots aren't just eye candy, they set the scale and mood perfectly, making the Croods world feel huge, unpredictable, and full of adventure. Then, the movie often cuts to tight close-ups on characters' faces, capturing every little expression, whether it's a goofy smile, a shocked reaction, or a heartfelt moment. These close-ups pull you into the characters' heads and hearts, helping you connect with what they're feeling. Lighting is another superstar here. The way scenes are lit shifts depending on the mood and setting, adding layers of emotion and atmosphere. Bright, warm light fills scenes when the families are happy or discovering something new and exciting, giving everything a golden glow that feels cozy and inviting. But when things get tense, dangerous, or mysterious, like during a chase or when night falls, the lighting turns darker with shadows and cooler colors that crank up the suspense. This contrast between light and dark scenes is like a roller coaster ride for your eyes and emotions, making every moment feel dynamic and alive. Framing, or how everything is arranged within the shot, is used cleverly to tell the story without words. For example, when the Croods and Bettermans first meet, the framing often shows them separated by physical barriers like walls or trees, visually emphasizing the gap between their worlds and mindsets. Later, as they start to come together, the shots bring the characters closer into the frame, showing their growing connection and cooperation. It's a subtle but powerful way of showing character development and story progress through just the visuals. There are also visually striking moments that simply stop you in your tracks. One scene might have a spectacular panorama of a lush, vibrant valley filled with colorful flora and fauna, all shimmering under the sunlight. It's like a prehistoric paradise come to life. Another moment might plunge you into a tense underground cavern where flickering shadows and glowing crystals create a mysterious and almost magical atmosphere. These moments are like little bursts of visual fireworks, designed to awe and immerse you completely. Action scenes, too, get a boost from cinematography. Quick cuts, dynamic camera angles, and zooms give the sense of speed and chaos during chases or fights, while the framing keeps the characters and their movements clear so you never lose track of what's happening. The use of perspective makes you feel like you're running alongside the characters or narrowly escaping danger with them, which cranks up the excitement big time. What's really impressive is how the cinematography balances all these elements: adventure, humor, emotion, and beauty, without ever feeling overwhelming. The visuals guide your attention smoothly, whether you're laughing at a funny face or holding your breath in a suspenseful moment. It's a masterclass in making an animated world feel rich, believable, and endlessly entertaining. So next time you watch The Croods, A New Age, pay close attention to where the camera is pointing, how the light falls, and how the scenes are composed. These details work together to make the story not just something you watch, but something you experience with your eyes wide open and your heart totally hooked. Alright friends, let's talk about how The Croods, A New Age keeps you glued to the screen with its slick editing and pacing that just won't let you blink or look away for too long. Editing might sound like some behind-the-scenes technical stuff, but really it's like the movie's heartbeat. It controls the rhythm, decides when to speed things up, slow things down, and how smoothly everything fits together. And this film, it's got a rhythm that's both lively and smart, making sure you're entertained and emotionally connected the whole time. From the get-go, the editing jumps right in with energy, throwing you into the action and humor without any awkward pauses. Scenes shift seamlessly from wild chases and hilarious family squabbles to quieter moments of heartwarming connection. The cuts are clean and well-timed, so nothing feels jarring or out of place. You never get that feeling of, wait, what just happened? Or why did this drag on so long? Instead, every transition feels natural, like turning the pages of a fun, fast-paced storybook. What's really cool is how the editors know when to hold on a scene just a little longer, maybe to let a joke land or an emotional glance sink in, and when to cut quickly to keep the momentum going. For example, during the fast-paced chase sequences, the cuts speed up, showing quick bursts of movement and frantic reactions that crank up the excitement and make you feel like you're right in the middle of the chaos. But then, when the story needs to slow down and give you a breather, the editing relaxes, letting the characters' emotions take center stage with longer shots and gentle fades. This back-and-forth pacing keeps the movie feeling balanced, never too hectic but never too slow. Another neat trick the editing pulls off is how it handles the multiple storylines and characters. With two families from very different worlds trying to coexist, the film has a lot going on at once. The editors weave these story threads together smoothly, cutting between the Croods' rugged antics and the Bettermans' polished lifestyle without losing track or confusing the audience. It's like watching a well-choreographed dance where everyone knows their steps and the moves flow effortlessly from one to another. The rhythm also plays a big role in the emotional journey. When the characters face challenges or have moments of doubt, the editing slows down just enough to let those feelings hit you. You get to soak in the looks, the subtle gestures, and the small silences that speak volumes. And then, when it's time for the big emotional payoffs, the family bonding, the breakthroughs, the celebrations, the pace picks up again, matching the characters' joy and relief. This ebb and flow makes the story feel alive and keeps your emotions on a satisfying roller coaster. What's impressive is that the editing never feels like it's trying too hard to manipulate your feelings. Instead, it lets the story breathe naturally while gently guiding your attention and emotions. You're swept along by the momentum, but you also get those quiet moments that make the characters and their journey stick with you. So, in The Croods, A New Age, the editing and pacing work hand in hand like the perfect tag team, one keeping the energy buzzing, the other making sure you feel all the heart. It's this clever rhythm that turns what could have been just another animated romp into an engaging, emotional, and downright fun ride from start to finish. Alright friends, let's talk about the music in The Croods. A New Age, because a great soundtrack and score are like the movie's secret sauce, quietly sneaking in and making everything feel bigger, funnier, and more emotional without you even noticing at first. This film uses its music like a storytelling sidekick, perfectly matching the prehistoric vibe while boosting every moment, from wild adventures to tender family scenes. Right off the bat, the soundtrack grabs your attention with energetic beats and playful melodies that feel like they belong in a world full of cavemen, strange creatures, and endless exploration. The music is lively and colorful, just like the animation itself, and it immediately sets the tone for the whole movie. Fun, a little wild, and full of surprises. You get the sense that something exciting is always around the corner, and the music keeps your anticipation buzzing. One of the coolest things about the score is how it dances with the story. When the characters are facing danger or going on those big, thrilling journeys, the music ramps up with dramatic percussion and soaring themes that make your heart beat a little faster. It's like the soundtrack is urging you to hold on tight and get ready for whatever's coming next. Then, when things calm down and the story turns toward the characters' emotions, like moments of family bonding or personal growth, the music softens, using gentle piano or strings to wrap those scenes in warmth and feeling. This ebb and flow between high energy and quiet reflection keeps the movie's emotional roller coaster riding smoothly. There are also these fun little recurring musical motifs, short, catchy themes tied to specific characters or ideas, that pop up throughout the film. These motifs act like musical name tags, so every time you hear a certain tune, you know exactly who or what it's about, even without any dialogue. It's a clever trick that helps you follow the story while adding a bit of charm and personality to the soundtrack. You start noticing these musical callbacks and feeling that connection with the characters on a whole new level. What's impressive is how the score knows when to step back too. There are well-placed moments of silence or very minimal sound that let the visuals and characters take center stage. These quiet pauses are just as powerful as the music because they give you space to really feel the emotions or laugh at a well-timed joke without distractions. It shows the composers understood that sometimes less is more, and that silence can be just as effective as a full-blown orchestral blast. Also, the music never overwhelms the scenes. It's always in perfect balance with the dialogue and sound effects. You won't find yourself straining to hear what the characters are saying or feeling like the music is trying too hard to make you feel something. Instead, it's like the music and the story are having a smooth conversation, each supporting the other and making the whole experience richer and more immersive. So, whether it's the upbeat tunes that get you pumped during the wild chase scenes, the soft melodies that pull at your heartstrings during those tender family moments, or the clever motifs that sneak up on you and make the movie feel even more connected, the soundtrack and score in The Croods, A New Age are working overtime to keep you entertained and emotionally engaged. It's the kind of music that stays with you after the movie ends, making you want to hit replay just to catch all those musical details you might have missed the first time around. Alright friends, let's dig into the juicy core of The Croods, A New Age, the themes and messages hiding beneath all the laughter, wild adventures, and prehistoric chaos. This movie isn't just about funny cavemen and crazy creatures. It's actually juggling some pretty big ideas that sneak up on you while you're having fun. And the way it does this. Smooth, clever, and never in your face. Which makes the whole experience way more enjoyable and thought-provoking than you might expect from an animated family flick. One of the biggest themes swirling through the movie is all about change and how we deal with it. The Croods, being the rugged old-school family they are, represent tradition and sticking to what's familiar, while the Bettermans bring in this shiny new way of living that's all about progress and comfort. At first, these two worlds clash hard, like fire meeting water, and that tension is played out in hilarious and heartfelt ways. But here's the thing. The movie doesn't just pick a side or turn this into a simple old versus new battle. Instead, it invites you to think about how both tradition and change have their place. It's like saying, hey, maybe you don't have to give up everything you know to grow, and maybe new ideas don't mean losing who you are. This theme is woven into the story so naturally that it doesn't feel preachy at all. You just find yourself nodding along, realizing this message applies to your own life too. Family is another big, warm blanket wrapped around the story. The Croods' chaotic, messy, and deeply loving family dynamic contrasts with the more polished Bettermans, but both groups share the same core desire: to protect, support, and grow together. The movie explores how families evolve over time, how sometimes you clash and struggle to understand each other, but in the end, love and acceptance are what keep you strong. The way the film shows these relationships, with all their ups and downs, feels honest and relatable, reminding us that family isn't about being perfect. It's about sticking together through thick and thin. Then there's this cool underlying idea about fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of stepping outside your comfort zone, and fear of losing control. Grug, the Croods' dad, embodies this perfectly as he tries to shield his family from danger but also wrestles with his own fears of change. The movie doesn't just say, be brave, and leave it at that. It shows the struggle, the doubts, and the little victories that come with facing your fears. This makes the message hit harder because it feels real, like you're watching someone you care about grow bit by bit instead of suddenly turning into a superhero. Another neat layer is the celebration of diversity and cooperation. The Croods and Bettermans come from totally different worlds, with different ways of thinking and living, but as the story unfolds, they learn to appreciate each other's strengths and quirks. This message about embracing differences and working together feels especially relevant today, and adds a nice touch of optimism without ever feeling forced or preachy. What really makes these themes stick is how the movie blends them seamlessly with the humor and action. Instead of making you feel like you're sitting through a lecture, it wraps these ideas in fun characters, silly situations, and heartfelt moments that make you think while you're laughing or holding your breath in a chase. You don't just watch the story unfold. You feel it, relate to it, and maybe even take a little something home with you. So, The Croods, A New Age is not just a colorful prehistoric romp. It's a surprisingly clever movie that tackles change, family, fear, and acceptance in ways that feel fresh and meaningful. These themes sneak under the surface, making you smile and think at the same time. And that's what gives this film a lasting spark beyond just the laughs and adventure. Alright friends, let's jump into the dazzling world of visual effects and CGI in The Croods. A New Age. Because in a movie packed with prehistoric creatures, wild landscapes, and non-stop action, the visuals aren't just decorations, they're the very fabric that pulls you into this crazy, colorful world. And here's the fun part. These effects don't just sit there looking pretty. They work hard to make the story feel alive, immersive, and downright magical. First off, the CGI in this film is smooth like butter. When you're watching, you don't sit there thinking, wow, that looks like a computer animation. Instead, everything blends so naturally that it feels like you're peeking into a living, breathing prehistoric universe. The textures of rocks, leaves, animal fur, and even the character's skin have this incredible depth and realism, but still keep that cartoony charm that fits the story perfectly. It's a tricky balance, and The Croods, A New Age nails it. The world is believable enough to pull you in but colorful and exaggerated enough to keep it fun and family-friendly. The creatures themselves are a showstopper. From giant woolly mammoths to bizarre, imaginative critters you've never seen before, the visual effects team really let their creativity run wild. Every beast moves with fluid, natural animation that makes you forget they're made of pixels. You can almost feel the weight of those massive paws stomping the ground or the rustle of feathers and fur as they interact with the characters. The effects don't just add eye candy. They give these creatures personality and life, making them feel like real parts of the world instead of just digital props. Lighting effects are another standout. Whether it's the warm glow of a campfire flickering on the characters' faces, the soft morning sun filtering through jungle leaves, or the eerie blue shimmer of glowing crystals underground, the lighting adds mood and atmosphere in a way that enhances every scene. These visual touches don't just decorate the frame. They help tell the story and guide your emotions without a single word spoken. And speaking of immersion, the environmental effects pull you deeper into the Croods world. Think swirling dust clouds kicked up during a chase, sparkling water splashing as the characters dive in, or leaves and branches rustling as they move through dense forests. These little details make the settings feel tangible and dynamic, like the world is alive and reacting to every move the characters make. It's the kind of detail that makes you want to reach out and touch the screen, or at least imagine stepping right into that wild landscape. While The Croods, A New Age is an animated film, it still manages to capture some of that practical effect magic you find in live-action movies, the sense that these characters and environments have real weight and texture. Of course, everything is digital here, but the craftsmanship is so top-notch that it mimics the tactile quality of physical effects, making the experience feel rich and satisfying. What's really cool is how the visual effects team balances spectacle with subtlety. In big action scenes, you get these jaw-dropping moments full of swirling debris, explosive crashes, and wild creature interactions that fill the screen with movement and excitement. But then, in quieter scenes, the effects pull back, letting the characters shine while still providing a lush, detailed backdrop that keeps you immersed. This balance means the effects never overwhelm or distract. They always serve the story and the emotions. So, when you're watching The Croods, A New Age, take a moment to appreciate the visual feast happening behind the scenes. The CGI and effects aren't just there to impress your eyes. They're the magic threads weaving together a vibrant world full of adventure, humor, and heart, making every moment feel bigger and more alive than you could have imagined. Alright friends, let's take a stroll through the incredible world-building magic of The Croods. A New Age, where every rock, leaf, and crazy prop works overtime to pull you into a prehistoric world that feels both wild and wonderfully believable. This movie doesn't just throw a few generic caves and trees on the screen and call it a day. No way. The set design and locations here are bursting with personality, detail, and so much creativity that you'll find yourself wanting to jump right into the screen and explore every nook and cranny. First up, the environments are a wild playground of imagination. The Croods' original world feels rough, rugged, and raw. Think jagged cliffs, dense forests tangled with vines, and caves that look like they've been carved by 1,000 years of storms and adventure. This setting perfectly captures the family's scrappy, survivalist spirit. It's a place where danger lurks behind every rock and comfort is something you have to fight for. The textures and shapes of the environment aren't just pretty background filler. They tell you stories about how the Croods live and what kind of challenges they face every day. Then we meet the Bettermans' world. And wow, talk about a contrast. Their home is like a prehistoric paradise turned up to 11. Imagine smooth, polished stone structures, colorful gardens filled with exotic plants, and cozy nooks designed for comfort and creativity. It's like the Croods stepped into the Stone Age version of a luxury resort, complete with quirky, high-tech-looking gadgets that fit perfectly into this better way of life. The design here is bright, vibrant, and full of surprises, giving the movie a great visual punch and underscoring the cultural clash between the two families in a fun and clever way. What's so clever about these settings is how they don't just look cool, they add layers to the story. The roughness of the Croods' environment mirrors their cautious, no-nonsense approach to life, while the Bettermans' polished surroundings reflect openness to new ideas and change. This visual storytelling helps you get inside the characters' heads without a single word, making their conflicts and growth feel natural and engaging. The props scattered throughout these worlds are another treat. From handmade stone tools to colorful, strange plants and imaginative furniture, every item feels like it belongs in this prehistoric era but with a playful twist. These details add charm and humor, like a family painting on the wall made from what looks like smashed berries, or Betterman's quirky inventions that seem both clever and delightfully impractical. The props give the world texture and personality, making it feel lived in and authentic. The production design team also nailed the balance between fantasy and reality. While the world is clearly a stylized version of prehistory, it never feels silly or cartoonish in a way that pulls you out of the story. Instead, the environments have just enough realism, in the way plants move, the way light filters through leaves, or the way rocks are shaped, to make you believe that such a place could exist, even if it's a world of imagination. Movement through these locations is another visual joy. The way the characters explore different parts of their world, climb rocky cliffs, or sneak through lush forests feels natural and thrilling. The design guides your eye and keeps you curious, so you're always spotting new little details and surprises hiding in the backgrounds. It's like every frame is a little treasure hunt. So, when you're watching the Croods, a new age, pay close attention to the settings, from the dusty caves to the shiny Betterman's garden, because they're more than just places. They're characters themselves, packed with stories, emotions, and a whole lot of personality that make this prehistoric adventure feel bigger, richer, and way more fun than you might expect. Alright friends, let's dive into the dialogue and script of the Croods. A New Age, because this is where the movie really flexes its funny bones and heartstrings all at once. The words the characters throw at each other aren't just fillers or simple chatter. They're packed with personality, sharp wit, and some surprisingly deep moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. The script is like a lively conversation at a family dinner where everyone's talking at once, cracking jokes, sharing stories, and occasionally dropping a truth bomb that hits just right. One of the best things about the dialogue here is how natural it feels. Even though these characters are cavemen and cavewomen, and yes, their world is full of wild creatures and prehistoric challenges, the way they talk to each other is instantly relatable. Whether it's Grug grumbling about change or Eep's youthful curiosity bursting out in funny quips, their lines ring true. The script balances everyday family squabbles with moments of clever humor that make you chuckle without feeling forced. You know those jokes that feel like they could happen in your own family, the little sarcastic remarks or playful teasing. The Croods capture that vibe perfectly. But it's not all laughs. The script has some real emotional weight tucked in there too. When the characters open up about their fears, hopes, and dreams, the writing shifts gears smoothly, dropping lines that feel honest and heartfelt. These moments aren't sappy or overdone. Instead, they come across as genuine reflections on family, change, and finding your place in the world. The way the script weaves these feelings into the humor makes the whole story richer and gives you more to care about. Now, the standout lines. Oh, there are plenty of those. The Croods. A New Age is packed with memorable zingers and clever one-liners that define characters and moments. Like Grug's stubborn declarations about keeping things safe, or Don Betterman's quick wit that both challenges and charms the Croods. These lines don't just land with a laugh. They reveal who these characters are and what they're about in just a few words. They stick in your head, making it easy to quote or remember scenes long after watching. The script also does a fantastic job of juggling multiple characters and voices without getting messy. Each family member has their own way of speaking, their own quirks, and the dialogue highlights these differences beautifully. You can tell who's talking just by the style and tone of their lines, from the adventurous, spirited Eep to the cautious, grumpy Grug, to the polished and somewhat uptight Bettermans. This variety keeps the conversations lively and prevents things from feeling repetitive or flat. And let's not forget the timing, which in comedy is everything. The script's pacing of jokes, pauses, and reactions feels spot on, allowing the humor to breathe and hit at just the right moment. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance where every word and beat is designed to get the biggest reaction, whether that's laughter or a quiet nod of understanding. All in all, the dialogue and script in The Croods, A New Age are a big reason why this movie doesn't just entertain, but also feels warm, relatable, and smart. It's packed with lines that make you laugh out loud and moments that quietly tug at your heart, wrapped up in a story about family and change that feels as timeless as a good conversation with the people you care about most. Alright friends, let's unpack how The Croods, A New Age plays with its genre, because this movie isn't just your run-of-the-mill animated family adventure. It's a clever cocktail that mixes classic elements with some fresh twists, and it knows exactly when to lean into the familiar and when to shake things up just enough to keep you hooked and smiling. First off, the film is firmly planted in the family animation adventure genre, and it definitely checks off many of the boxes you'd expect. Big, colorful prehistoric world, plenty of action-packed chase scenes, laugh-out-loud humor, heartfelt family moments, and a dash of that classic learning to accept change message. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of simply sticking to the formula like glue, the Croods, A New Age adds its own personality and flair, making the journey feel fresh without losing that warm, comforting vibe that fans love. One of the coolest things about this movie is how it handles humor. Sure, there's slapstick and goofy caveman jokes, that's part of the charm, but it also sprinkles in some sharper, more clever humor that works for both kids and adults. It never talks down to the audience, and you'll catch witty lines and situational comedy that make you grin without feeling like a recycled punchline. The humor feels smart and well-timed, balancing silly antics with clever dialogue so the laughs keep coming without wearing out their welcome. Action and suspense. Oh yes, the movie has those in spades, but it doesn't just throw explosions and chases at you for the sake of excitement. The action scenes are well choreographed, visually fun, and always tied to the story or character moments. You're not just watching the Croods run around. You feel the stakes, whether it's a dangerous creature or navigating the rocky terrain of their world, and that adds genuine tension beneath the fun. The movie knows how to keep your pulse racing without overwhelming you or sidelining the emotional beats. Drama in the Croods. A New Age is subtle but effective. It doesn't go full soap opera, but it never shies away from exploring real feelings and conflicts, especially within the family dynamics. Instead of big, tear-jerking moments, the drama comes from believable interactions and character growth, like Grug's struggle to let go of control or the tensions between the two families learning to live together. These emotional moments are grounded and honest, giving the story heart without bogging it down. What's really interesting is how the film plays with some genre cliches but flips them in a fun way. For example, the new family moves-in trope is a classic setup, but instead of predictable rivalry, we get this quirky, colorful clash of cultures with humor and warmth that feels new. The characters break out of expected molds. The tough dad isn't just gruff, he's vulnerable. The perfect, better family isn't flawless but has its own quirks and flaws. This subtle subversion keeps things lively and surprising. The movie also does a neat job balancing all these elements without any one thing overpowering the others. Action doesn't steamroll the humor or emotion, and jokes never undermine the stakes. It's like a perfectly mixed smoothie where every ingredient complements the others, leaving you satisfied but wanting more. The pacing helps too. Moments of high energy flow smoothly into quieter, reflective scenes, so you get a rhythm that feels natural and engaging. In the end, the Croods, A New Age knows exactly what its genre promises and delivers it with enthusiasm, but it also tosses in enough personality and cleverness to avoid feeling stale or predictable. It's a feel-good adventure that respects its roots while inviting you to see familiar themes through a fresh, fun lens. And that's what keeps it bouncing along with energy, laughs, and heart from start to finish. Alright friends, let's really dig into the social and cultural layers bubbling under the surface of the Croods. A New Age. And trust me, this isn't your typical heavy-handed message movie. Instead, it's like a light-hearted prehistoric chat that sneaks in some thoughtful reflections on how we humans deal with change, family and community, all wrapped up in fun, vibrant animation and plenty of laughs. First off, the movie is a clever exploration of how different generations approach life and change. A theme that's as old as time but still super relevant today. The Croods family represents tradition. They live cautiously, stick to what they know, and are suspicious of anything too new or shiny. They're all about survival, sticking together, and avoiding unnecessary risks. The classic if it ain't broke, don't fix it mindset. On the flip side, the Bettermans symbolize progress and modernity. Their world is more polished, comfortable, and open to experimenting with new ideas, which at first makes the Croods uncomfortable and skeptical. This dynamic creates a fun but meaningful clash that mirrors real-world conversations about tradition versus innovation, old values versus new ways, and how families and societies navigate those tensions. What's brilliant is that the movie doesn't villainize either side or suggest one is better than the other. Instead, it shows the strengths and weaknesses of both approaches. The Croods' caution keeps them safe but limits them, while the Bettermans' openness offers growth but comes with its own risks and misunderstandings. The best path, the movie suggests, is somewhere in the middle, a blending of respect for the past with a willingness to embrace change. It's a message about balance and adaptation that feels refreshing and wise for a family film. Next up, The Croods. A New Age shines a light on the beauty and challenge of diversity and acceptance. When two very different families suddenly have to share space and lives, sparks fly. But the movie uses this setup to explore how embracing differences can lead to growth and stronger bonds. It's a playful but insightful reflection on multiculturalism and community in the modern world, showing that respecting others' ways and quirks, even when they're strange or new to us, enriches everyone's experience. The film gently reminds us that diversity isn't a threat but an opportunity for learning and connection. Another fascinating layer is how the movie tackles the fear of the unknown and resistance to change, embodied by Grug, the protective dad. His fears aren't just about physical danger but also about losing control and the safety of the familiar. That's a deeply human feeling. Who hasn't hesitated in the face of uncertainty or felt anxious about stepping outside their comfort zone? Watching Grug wrestle with these fears and gradually open up is both touching and relatable, offering a warm look at how people grow through vulnerability and trust. It's a comforting message that change can be scary but also rewarding. The Croods. A New Age also takes a playful jab at modern life by contrasting the Bettermans' high-tech comforts and stylish home with the Croods' rugged, survivalist lifestyle. Their gadgets and luxuries are exaggerated just enough to feel like a humorous commentary on our own world's obsession with technology, convenience, and status. It's a cheeky reminder not to take ourselves too seriously and that sometimes simplicity and connection matter more than shiny things. The movie keeps this satire light-hearted, making it a fun wink to parents and older viewers without overshadowing the story. What's impressive is how seamlessly the film weaves all these social and cultural themes into its story without slowing down the pace or becoming preachy. The characters' interactions, jokes, and conflicts naturally bring these ideas to life, so the audience absorbs them almost without realizing it. The humor and heart keep things buoyant and entertaining, making it easy for viewers of all ages to connect with the messages without feeling lectured. Even the conflicts and resolutions between the families serve as mini lessons about communication, empathy, and compromise, all wrapped in witty dialogue and amusing situations. The characters grow by learning from each other, showing that understanding and openness can break down walls and build bridges, whether between families or broader communities. So, while you're enjoying the vibrant animation, quirky humor, and wild prehistoric adventures of the Croods, A New Age, remember there's a thoughtful undercurrent here about how we all navigate change, accept differences, and find our place in a world that's always evolving. It's a fun, heartfelt reminder that life's journey is a little easier, and a lot more joyful, when we're willing to embrace new ideas, respect each other, and grow together. Alright friends, buckle up because The Croods, A New Age doesn't just casually ask for your attention. It grabs you by the collar and pulls you deep into its wild, wacky, and wonderfully emotional world. From the moment the movie kicks off, it hooks you with a whirlwind of colorful chaos, funny family squabbles, and unexpected moments that make you feel like you're right there in the thick of the prehistoric madness. But here's the magic. It's not just about watching a story unfold. It's about feeling it, living it, and coming away with a whole range of emotions that stick with you long after the screen goes dark. Let's talk about laughter first because The Croods, A New Age is packed to the brim with humor that's smart, playful, and incredibly well-timed. The jokes aren't just there to fill silence. They're woven into the fabric of the characters and their relationships. You'll catch yourself chuckling at Grug's over-the-top protectiveness or Eep's adventurous spirit, and then burst out laughing at the Bettermans' posh but quirky antics. The comedy has layers, from slapstick and physical humor to sharp wit and clever wordplay, so it hits a wide audience. Kids will love the silly moments, while adults get those sly jokes that make you nod in appreciation. The timing and delivery are so spot-on that the humor feels natural and effortless, not forced or tired. Even in moments of tension, the film slips in a quick quip or funny expression that lightens the mood and keeps you smiling. But The Croods, A New Age isn't just a laugh factory. It's a heart-tugger too. It balances its comedy with genuinely touching scenes that invite you to connect on a deeper emotional level. Maybe it's a quiet moment between family members reflecting on change and loss, or a heartfelt exchange where Grug shows vulnerability beneath his gruff exterior. These scenes sneak up on you with their sincerity, breaking through the laughs to remind you that beneath all the prehistoric chaos, this is a story about love, acceptance, and the fear and hope that come with stepping into the unknown. The emotional moments are never heavy-handed or melodramatic. They're subtle, sincere, and perfectly placed to give the story a warm human core. You might find yourself wiping away an unexpected tear or feeling a lump in your throat, all while still rooting for the characters with a smile. Now, add the thrill of the adventure, and you've got a recipe for a roller coaster of emotions. The movie's action sequences are visually stunning and packed with energy, whether it's the Croods navigating treacherous terrain or escaping from wild creatures. These moments aren't just flashy distractions. They're integral to the story, raising the stakes and immersing you in the characters' struggle to survive and thrive. The pacing here is brilliant, fast enough to keep your heart pounding, but balanced with quieter scenes that let you catch your breath and connect with the characters' feelings. It's a well-crafted dance between excitement and emotion that keeps you engaged from start to finish. One of the coolest things about this movie is how it invites you to keep the conversation going after it's over. The themes of family dynamics, embracing change, and learning to accept differences are so universally relatable that they spark real discussion. Whether it's comparing the old-school Croods to the modern Bettermans, debating the best characters, or reflecting on what it means to grow and change, the film sticks in your mind. It's also the kind of movie that rewards repeat viewings. Every time you watch, you might catch new jokes, notice subtle character moments, or appreciate the clever storytelling all over again. Emotionally, the film creates a kind of roller coaster where you're laughing one moment, feeling the warmth of family love the next, then holding your breath during a thrilling chase. It's a wild ride, but one that feels cozy and familiar because it taps into something deep about being human, about how messy, funny, and beautiful family life can be, even when you're dodging giant prehistoric creatures. So, while you're enjoying the vibrant colors, the quirky humor, and the epic adventure of the Croods, A New Age, you're also riding a wave of emotions that keep you connected, entertained, and thinking. It's that perfect mix of joy, excitement, warmth, and just the right touch of nostalgia that makes you want to watch it again and maybe share it with the people who matter most. Alright friends, buckle up because we're about to take a deep, fun dive into how the Croods, A New Age measures up against its animated peers, the original movie, and even the director's own style. It's like comparing your favorite comfort food with a trendy new dish. Both tasty, but with some surprising twists that keep things interesting. So, let's break it down and see what makes this prehistoric family adventure stand out in the crowded world of animated movies. First off, when you look at the whole family animation genre, you're entering a lively arena packed with legends like Toy Story, How to Train Your Dragon, Frozen, and even the Ice Age series. Each of these brings its own special sauce. Some dive deep into epic quests and emotional growth, others hit the sweet spot between humor and life lessons. Now, the Croods. A New Age definitely fits into this big, fun club, but it doesn't just blend in. Instead, it carves out its own niche with a blend of down-to-earth family chaos, slapstick humor, and that uniquely wild prehistoric setting that no other franchise quite matches. It's less about grandiose heroism and more about relatable family messiness, which feels refreshing in a sea of epic sagas and high fantasy. Zooming in on the franchise itself, the original Croods movie was all about survival against the odds, a family holding on tight in a dangerous, unpredictable world. It introduced us to these lovable, rugged characters navigating change and uncertainty, and it balanced action with emotional warmth. But the Croods, A New Age takes that foundation and pushes it further by bringing in the Bettermans, a modern family who live in a flashy, comfortable paradise, full of gadgets and new ideas. This edition spices things up with a classic clash of old versus new, tradition versus progress, and it gives the sequel a fresh layer of conflict and comedy. Instead of recycling the survival story, the sequel explores family dynamics in a way that's richer and more nuanced, making the whole adventure feel like a natural evolution rather than a rehash. If we peek at the director's work, Joel Crawford, who's been involved in other animation projects. This film reflects his knack for blending humor, heart, and action without letting any one element overpower the others. Unlike some animated movies that get lost in dazzling visuals or overly complicated plots, The Croods, A New Age keeps the characters front and center. Crawford's direction shines in the way the jokes land with perfect timing, and the emotional moments feel genuine and earned. There's a playful warmth in the storytelling that keeps it accessible for kids but also entertaining for adults, which is no small feat in family animation. Now, many sequels stumble because they try to simply replicate what worked in the first film. Bigger explosions, flashier effects, and more of the same jokes. The Croods, A New Age sidesteps that trap by offering something more meaningful. It tackles themes like blended families, acceptance, and adapting to change. Topics that resonate strongly with today's audiences. The movie doesn't just want to entertain. It wants to connect on a real emotional level while still keeping the fun and adventure alive. This thoughtful approach gives it a fresh voice in a genre where sequels often feel like carbon copies. When compared to other animated family adventures, this film's prehistoric setting is a standout feature. While other movies take us to magical kingdoms, futuristic cities, or realistic modern worlds, The Croods, A New Age immerses us in a wildly imaginative Stone Age universe. This setting allows for creative storytelling, from bizarre creatures and inventive technology, to lush, vibrant landscapes that are both fantastical and believable. It's a playground of imagination that gives the film a unique visual and narrative flavor, helping it stand apart in a market saturated with more conventional backdrops. At the same time, the movie keeps its themes universal. Family struggles, the fear of change, and the challenge of accepting others are staples in this genre. But The Croods, A New Age presents them with a balance of humor and heart that avoids clichés. It respects the intelligence of its audience, layering in jokes and emotions that work on multiple levels. Kids laugh at the silly antics while adults pick up on the deeper messages about growth and coexistence. Even the way the characters are written adds to this balance. They're not perfect or idealized heroes but flawed, funny, and relatable individuals who bumble their way through challenges. This makes the story feel more grounded and real, even within a wildly exaggerated prehistoric world. The Bettermans and Croods families clash, and eventually learn from each other in a way that mirrors real-life family dynamics and societal changes, which adds emotional weight without dragging down the fun. So when you place The Croods, A New Age side by side with other sequels, franchise films and big animated hits, it's clear the movie knows how to keep the best parts of the original while expanding its world and themes in fresh and thoughtful ways. It manages to be funny, heartfelt, and visually exciting without feeling like just another cookie-cutter animated sequel. It's a prehistoric family adventure that's got heart, humor, and a unique voice. A combination that keeps it entertaining and memorable in a genre crowded with great but sometimes predictable movies. Alright friends, let's take a deeper stroll through the prehistoric world of The Croods, A New Age, and uncover all those clever symbols and metaphors that make this film way more than just a colorful family adventure. If you think this movie is just about quirky cavemen and wild animals running amok, think again. Beneath the laughs and chaos, there's a whole treasure trove of hidden meanings and visual cues that add richness to the story, making it a smart and thoughtful ride if you know where to look. It's like when you discover there's more to your favorite snack than just great taste. There's layers of flavor and texture that keep you coming back for more. Let's kick things off with the biggest metaphor of all: the epic showdown between the Croods and the Bettermans. On the surface, it's a hilarious clash between two very different families. One rugged, survivalist and cautious. The other modern, polished and progressive. But dig a little deeper and you'll see it's really about the tension between holding on to tradition and embracing change. The Croods are all about sticking to what's safe and familiar, resisting the scary unknown with their better the devil you know mentality. Meanwhile, the Bettermans embody innovation, open-mindedness, and the idea that adapting to new ways can lead to a better life. This classic theme of old versus new plays out in a way that's fun and engaging but also surprisingly relatable. We all face moments when we have to decide whether to cling to the past or leap into the future, and this film uses its prehistoric setting to explore that universal struggle in a way that's accessible and entertaining. Moving on to the world itself, the movie uses its environments as a kind of visual metaphor that mirrors the characters' emotional journeys. The Croods' original home is dark, shadowy, and full of lurking dangers. It's a symbol of fear, uncertainty, and the limits of the known world. Contrast that with the Bettermans' bright, open, and meticulously arranged paradise, which represents hope, progress, and comfort. As these two worlds collide and the families start exploring together, the shifting landscapes reflect their growing openness and willingness to embrace change. When characters leave the cave's darkness for sunlit valleys, it's not just a physical journey, but an emotional and thematic one, symbolizing growth, discovery, and the lightness that comes from overcoming fear. It's like the environment itself is telling us a story in parallel to what the characters are experiencing. Then there are the recurring motifs sprinkled throughout the film that reinforce these big ideas without ever feeling heavy-handed. Take the motif of family, for example. It's everywhere, in the way characters share meals, squabble, protect each other, and gradually learn to accept one another's quirks. These moments visually and narratively echo the message that family isn't about perfection or sameness, but about connection, love, and embracing differences. You'll notice little things like shared glances, protective gestures, and even the way the two families' belongings start mixing as they spend time together. These tiny details act like a gentle drumbeat, reinforcing the theme of unity through diversity. Light and darkness also show up as powerful symbols. Beyond just the literal contrast between shadowy caves and sunlit clearings, light represents safety, knowledge, and hope, while darkness stands for fear, ignorance, and the unknown. Characters moving from dark caves into open spaces isn't just about geography. It's about stepping out of fear and into possibility. This play of light and shadow appears in many scenes, subtly reinforcing the emotional arcs and the idea that growth often requires leaving the comfort of darkness behind. The characters themselves are living metaphors too. Grug, the protective patriarch, often embodies resistance to change, clinging to routines and old fears like a security blanket. His journey throughout the film is a powerful metaphor for personal growth and the challenge of letting go. Eep, his adventurous daughter, symbolizes curiosity, courage, and the spark of new ideas, the catalyst pushing the family forward into unknown territory. The Bettermans, with their polished appearances and progressive attitudes, don't just represent new ways of living, but also the fear of losing identity when faced with change. This push and pull between holding on and embracing the new is woven into their interactions, giving the story emotional depth and complexity that resonates beyond just the laughs. And here's a fun metaphor that's easy to miss: the prehistoric inventions and creatures scattered throughout the film. Those rolling stone wheels, bizarre animals, and quirky tools aren't just there for laughs. They symbolize creativity, innovation, and adaptability. They remind us that survival isn't just about strength but about imagination and thinking outside the box. The film celebrates this inventive spirit, showing that even in the wildest situations, there's room to dream, create, and grow. It's a subtle nod to human progress and the power of innovation that's wrapped up in the movie's playful prehistoric setting. Even the title A New Age carries metaphorical weight. It's not just about the literal new age of the Bettermans' lifestyle but hints at a broader theme of transition. From old to new, from fear to acceptance, from survival to thriving. It's a hopeful message that change, while challenging, can open the door to a better, richer life if we're willing to embrace it. All these symbols and metaphors work like hidden gems, adding layers of meaning that enrich the film's story and themes. They reward viewers who pay attention and invite repeat viewings because there's always something new to notice. A clever visual cue, a character gesture, or a thematic echo you might have missed the first time. And yet, none of this heaviness ever drags down the movie's energy or fun. Instead, these elements sneak in beneath the surface, making The Croods: A New Age a smart, thoughtful, and surprisingly deep film wrapped in the package of a lively, funny prehistoric adventure. So next time you watch, keep your eyes peeled for these little nuggets of symbolism and metaphor. They're the secret prehistoric spices that give the movie its unique flavor, a blend of humor, heart, and meaning that makes it a story worth revisiting again and again. Alright, let's dive even deeper into where The Croods: A New Age sits within its franchise and what it brings to the prehistoric party that the original film started. If you think of the first Croods movie as the opening chapter of a fun, chaotic family saga set in a wild, unpredictable Stone Age world, then A New Age is like the sequel that doesn't just repeat the story but opens the doors to an even bigger, richer universe. Kind of like turning the page and finding a whole new adventure waiting for you, complete with new characters, conflicts, and surprising twists. The original Croods movie gave us a taste of the Croods family's life. Huddled together in a dark cave, afraid of the dangers outside, living by the motto, never change what keeps you alive. It was all about learning to face fears, explore the unknown, and realize that life can be better if you're willing to take some risks. It was charming, funny, and heartfelt, a classic underdog survival story wrapped in colorful animation and quirky humor. But with the Croods, A New Age, the story shifts gears. It's no longer just about surviving the wild world. It's about thriving in a changing world, which means learning to live alongside others who are very different from you. Enter the Bettermans, this shiny, sophisticated family with their high-tech gadgets, sprawling estates, and very different ideas about life. This new family isn't just a source of comedic contrast. They represent a whole new way of thinking and living, forcing the Croods to reconsider their ideas about family, security, and progress. The clash and eventual blending of these two families create a richer, more complex narrative that expands the emotional scope of the franchise. From a franchise perspective, this is a savvy move. The sequel doesn't just rely on nostalgia or rehashing the first movie's jokes. Instead, it builds on the foundation with new themes like acceptance, growth, and embracing change that resonate deeply with audiences of all ages. The introduction of the Bettermans adds new dynamics and conflicts, giving the characters fresh challenges that push them to evolve in ways we hadn't seen before. It's a natural progression that keeps the franchise feeling alive and relevant. Technically, A New Age also reflects the advancements in animation technology since the first movie. The visuals are richer, the environments more detailed, and the characters' expressions even more nuanced, which helps immerse the audience in this vibrant prehistoric world. The improved animation isn't just eye candy. It enhances storytelling by making the characters' emotions and interactions more vivid and relatable. This evolution in animation quality mirrors the franchise's overall growth, showing that it's keeping pace with audience expectations and industry standards. Now, as for historical context, let's be clear, the Croods movies are not about accuracy. They're about creativity and fun. The Stone Age setting is more of a playful playground than a museum exhibit. The filmmakers mix real prehistoric elements with a generous dose of imagination, creating creatures, gadgets, and scenarios that would make any paleontologist raise an eyebrow but keep the story lively and unpredictable. The prehistoric world here is a blend of fact, fantasy, and humor, a deliberately exaggerated backdrop that lets the story focus on universal themes like family, fear, and change. This playful approach to history allows the film to explore serious ideas without getting bogged down in details. It uses the Stone Age setting to amplify the themes: fear of the unknown, the tension between old and new, survival instincts, while making it accessible and fun for kids and adults alike. The creative liberties with history are part of what makes the franchise charming, giving it a unique flavor that sets it apart from other animated adventures. So, looking at the Croods, A New Age in the broader franchise and historical context, it's clear the movie does more than just continue a story. It enriches the world, introduces new voices, and tackles bigger themes, all while keeping the humor and heart that made the original a hit. It's a sequel that respects its roots but isn't afraid to branch out, making it a worthy and entertaining chapter in the ongoing saga of this lovable prehistoric family. Whether you're a longtime fan or a newcomer, this movie invites you to explore what it means to grow, change, and find common ground, even in the wildest of worlds. Alright, let's take a closer, more detailed look behind the curtain at the money story of the Croods, A New Age, because when it comes to movies, the budget and box office numbers aren't just digits on a spreadsheet. They tell a whole tale about how much faith studios put into a film, how audiences respond, and whether the gamble pays off in the end. Starting with the budget, the Croods, A New Age had a solid financial foundation, with estimates ranging between $65 million and $80 million. Now, for the uninitiated, that might sound like a mountain of cash, but in the realm of big-budget animated movies, this is pretty standard, sometimes even on the moderate side when you consider that some animated blockbusters cross the $150 million mark. Still, this budget wasn't just about keeping the lights on. It was an investment aimed at delivering a film with top-tier animation quality, seamless character design, breathtaking environments, and an engaging voice cast that features some pretty big names. All of that adds up. From hiring the best animators to securing recording time with stars like Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds, and Nicolas Cage, every penny had to count. When you watch A New Age, the production quality screams this wasn't a shoestring operation. The animation is rich, detailed, and polished. Whether it's the textures on the rocky landscapes, the subtle emotional expressions on the characters' faces, or the smooth fluidity of action scenes. This level of craftsmanship is no accident. It's the product of a carefully allocated budget that prioritized quality. You can tell the animators and technical teams were given the resources and time to push the visuals to the next level compared to the first movie. This means the money didn't just vanish behind the scenes. It translated directly into an immersive visual experience that audiences could get lost in. From the glowing sunsets to the wild prehistoric creatures, every frame feels vibrant and alive. Now let's shift gears to the money coming back in box office performance. The Croods. A New Age managed to pull in over $215 million worldwide, a figure that might not place it in the blockbuster stratosphere, but it's definitely respectable, especially considering the challenging circumstances around its release. The film premiered during a period still affected by the global COVID-19 pandemic, which threw a wrench into theatrical releases everywhere. Many theaters were closed or operating at limited capacity, and audiences were more hesitant about heading to cinemas. Despite this, A New Age's performance showed a strong appetite for familiar, family-friendly content, especially sequels that promise laughs, heart, and vibrant escapism. Breaking down the numbers, doubling or more, the production budget in box office receipts is generally a good sign that the film was financially successful. It means the movie brought in enough revenue to cover not just production costs but marketing, distribution, and other expenses too, and still turn a profit. Of course, studios also make money through other avenues like streaming rights, home video sales, merchandise, and international licensing, all of which add layers to the financial picture beyond the box office alone. Speaking of marketing, that was another big player in the film's financial journey. DreamWorks and Universal Pictures orchestrated a smart, multi-pronged campaign designed to reel in both fans of the original Croods and brand-new viewers. Trailers, TV spots, social media buzz, and partnerships highlighted the movie's biggest selling points. The clash between the wild Croods and the refined Bettermans, the laugh-out-loud moments, and the heartwarming family themes. This approach tapped into nostalgia for the first film while also teasing fresh storylines and new characters, which helped broaden the appeal. Plus, marketing efforts stretched beyond just selling tickets. They pushed merchandise, tie-ins, and digital content that kept the movie buzzing in the public sphere, fueling anticipation before release and sustaining interest afterward. Audience reception was another crucial piece of the puzzle. Fans who loved the original came back eager for another round of prehistoric fun, and many critics and viewers praised the sequel for balancing humor with heart, delivering an animation feast, and adding new layers to beloved characters. Positive word-of-mouth and repeat viewings contributed to steady ticket sales over weeks, and this organic buzz helped the film hold its own despite the tough market conditions. It's clear that the film's blend of familiar charm and fresh ideas struck a chord with a wide range of viewers, from kids laughing at the antics to adults appreciating the deeper themes. Putting it all together, The Croods. A New Age is a prime example of a well-calculated investment that balanced production costs with audience expectations and marketing savvy. It shows how a sequel can maintain high-quality production values without exploding its budget, and still carve out a successful place at the box office even when the cinematic landscape is unpredictable. The film's financial story is one of careful planning, creative ambition, and solid execution that allowed it to thrive despite external challenges. It's proof that sometimes, giving audiences exactly what they want, a fun, colorful, heartfelt adventure with familiar characters, can pay off big in the end. Alright, let's take a deep dive into the many ways you can watch The Croods. A New Age. because this movie deserves to be enjoyed in all its colorful, hilarious glory, and the experience can change depending on where and how you tune in. Whether you're a theater aficionado, a streaming enthusiast, or someone who loves collecting physical copies, there's an option out there that will let you fully immerse yourself in the Croods' prehistoric world. Starting with a theatrical experience, if you caught the movie when it first hit cinemas, you already know that watching the Croods, A New Age on the big screen is like stepping into a whole new universe. The animation is designed for giant screens where every detail, from the tiniest blade of grass swaying in the prehistoric breeze to the dramatic lighting of a sunset, comes to life. The vibrancy of the colors explodes in the cinema, making every scene feel lush and immersive. Plus, with the powerful surround sound blasting prehistoric roars, crashes, and the quirky soundtrack, you feel like you're part of the adventure. There's nothing quite like sharing those laugh-out-loud moments and jaw-dropping scenes with a theater full of people, all reacting together. It's a communal experience that amps up the fun and makes the story hit even harder. For families especially, it's a perfect outing that brings everyone together for some quality entertainment. But what if you missed it in theaters or prefer watching movies in the comfort of your own home? That's where streaming services come into play. The Croods, A New Age has found a home on several popular streaming platforms, making it incredibly easy to watch anytime you want. If you subscribe to services like Peacock, Amazon Prime Video, or Netflix in some regions, you might find it available to stream instantly, often as part of your subscription package or for an additional rental fee. Streaming offers a level of convenience that's hard to beat. You can watch the movie on your smart TV, laptop, tablet, or even phone. It's perfect for cozy nights in family movie marathons, or even for those times when you just want a quick prehistoric laugh while on the go. The ability to pause, rewind, and rewatch favorite scenes is a huge bonus, especially for kids who might want to catch every silly joke or fun visual gag. If you're more of a digital collector or want to keep the movie handy without relying on streaming subscriptions, you can also purchase or rent the Croods, A New Age from digital stores like Apple iTunes, Google Play Movies, Vudu, or YouTube Movies. Renting usually gives you access for a limited time, say 48 hours after you start watching, while buying means the movie is yours forever in your digital library. Digital purchases often come with options for HD or 4K Ultra HD quality, so if you have a compatible TV or device, you get a crisp, stunning picture and immersive sound. Owning a digital copy means you can watch any time without worrying about internet connection issues or the movie disappearing from streaming platforms. And for those who love a more traditional, tactile movie experience, physical copies like DVDs and Blu-rays are still very much alive and kicking. The Blu-ray edition in particular is a treat because it often includes extras like behind-the-scenes featurettes, interviews with the voice actors and filmmakers, deleted scenes, and even fun commentary tracks. These bonus materials give fans a deeper look into how the animators brought this prehistoric world to life and how the story and characters evolved. Watching on Blu-ray also means you get excellent picture quality and surround sound right at home, sometimes rivaling the theater experience if you have a good home entertainment setup. Plus, physical copies make great gifts or collectibles for fans who want to build their movie libraries with something they can hold in their hands. Now let's talk about the best way to watch the Croods, A New Age for the fullest impact. The truth is, the movie's rich animation, detailed environments, and expressive character work really shine on larger screens with high definition and good sound systems. If you're watching at home, hooking up your TV to a soundbar or surround sound system and watching in HD or 4K makes a huge difference. The visual effects, the glimmer of light on the water, the subtle facial expressions, the colorful prehistoric flora, are designed to be experienced in all their glory, and sound enhances the humor and emotion. If you're watching on a smaller device like a tablet or phone, using headphones can help capture some of that immersive audio magic, bringing you closer to the action even on a small screen. Ultimately, no matter which viewing option you pick, whether it's the excitement of a theater, the convenience of streaming, the ownership of digital, or the nostalgia of a physical copy, the Croods, A New Age offers a prehistoric adventure that's ready to entertain. It's flexible enough to fit any movie watching style, so you can enjoy the laughs, thrills, and heartfelt moments whenever and however you like. The world of the Croods is just a click or ticket away, waiting to bring a fun, colorful, and warm-hearted journey to your screen.